What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the LCS and another edition of the LCS Waiting Room, where we're going to spend the next half hour teaching Raz how to use Twitter.
Look, it's not my fault.
It is your fault. That is actually the only person whose fault it can be.
You weren't even rushed. You had plenty of time. It was like you tweeted out like 5 minutes ago.
Early.
Raz versus
not
Twitter
true.
is like
Maybe
one
three,
of the
whatever.
developing narratives behind the scenes.
Doesn't know how to schedule tweets.
Yes,
Doesn't tag other people in posts where they're clearly photographed.
maybe.
I'm the only one in the picture.
Oh, Lordy. Well, it's good to be back with y'all for another fun weekend of LCS play. We're going to dive straight into it. We've got some big news off the top. We're going to start
Huge.
in the TSM camp, where after starting 0-4, they have decided to make a substitution. I'm not going to read out the entirety of their statements. You can find them online on their Twitter account, so please do that if you're unaware. But your son coming in for Shen Yi. I want to leave it at that, see where you guys go with it. Emily?
So I think the first thing I kind of want to preface, just given the statement and then also a couple of things that came off of Shen Yi's stream, is the role of a support player in the LPL, because I feel like there might be a little bit of a disconnect around what people think it is. There's a lot of expectation when you're a support in the LPL. Like, obviously they favor engaged supports, and it's not because like someone like Mako, who's one of the best supports in the world, can't play enchanters. It's because that's almost always your primary engage, and a lot of the time, like, the act of engaging is part of the call, right? And I'm not saying it always works out, because it doesn't, but I just wanted to give kind of a broader overview, because maybe people are a little bit confused as to where some of the disconnect could be coming from and where some of the expectations of Shen Yi versus the expectations of TSM might not be aligned.
I have a lot to say in a lot of different directions we can go. I think one of the first ones for me is like the expectations that the roster had for themselves. I think people have called them a development roster, and exactly what a development roster is has been a large part of the debate. But when you have players like huhi, Spica, and Tactical, you're not really like this full, we're in it for the long haul team. Like, you still want to be decent. Yes, you're developing in the sense that you're going to be getting better over time. You're not expected to be great out the gate, so you are technically a development roster, but you're not supposed to be the last place team in the league. You're not supposed to be struggling this hard. And I think that's where this disconnect comes from, is because some people think development roster means you are last place. And I don't think that this roster sees themselves that way. And that's why when changes come in, they're not really, to me, betraying their goals the way some people are being like, I thought we were a development roster. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't think they would be this bad.
Yeah, but it depends on the timing of the changes. If it happens end of week 2, then I greatly look at that and say, you were never going to be developing these players to begin with, right? Because now look at what position they put themselves in. Because in a week 5 or something, if let's say Shen Yi's killing in an academy and they want to bring him in, now you're having an extra issue of like, okay, well, you're not on board with the lessons that we were learning for the past few weeks now. And so we have a different issue of like integrating you once again when that was already an issue. So like, at least when Golden Guardians were getting plastered in Spring Split while trying to hone in on developing Iconic and Niles, they committed for a long time. Some people could say after week 4 or something like that, then you can make changes because you have a boatload of scrims to look after and game, actual stage games. But after week 2, if you're doing this, especially with the context that you weren't playing in lock-in.
Right, that's a good point.
You weren't playing in lock-in, you weren't necessarily scrimming at that time, so it's a very recent new thing, then yes, to your point, it's not really developing. You have players that want to win right now. Kind of reminds me of the LEC when Fnatic made those changes, having Bwipo in the jungle and then developing with Adam in the top lane. It's like, well, now your own team has 2 different separate goals, right? Except this one, they're dead last, right?
Because Bwipo jungle was great.
Yeah, but to that point, I think the interesting thing is when you talk about your son and Shen Yi coming back, we don't have answers to that right now, but to that point, it does make it very difficult to imagine reintegrating him now, even if he does go down to academy and pop off for like 2 or 3 weeks, then what does that mean? Or if your son comes in and does well, does that mean Shen Yi has to earn his spot back? Exactly what the situation is going forward is still up in the air. But I think if it is a situation where they're just done with this experiment already,
right,
sometimes when you know, you know. It's like being in love, but the opposite, where you just know that the lineup's not going to work. And you kind of go like, well, we can keep running our head into a wall. We've seen 2 weeks, they probably have seen 50 scrims worth of data.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work on a fundamental level, then you do need to make a change. And it's not about developing the player. It's about these two players don't get along, which is based off some of the things we talked about on the stream, what's potentially been leaked. It seems like there's more fundamental issues than just communication errors or skill.
Well, and you brought up the fact that, like, the way or the manner in which this team moved, like, for example, I saw a lot of instances, and we saw this with Sword Art last year a bit as well, but when Shen Yi's going in, there's the expectation that the rest of the team is going to follow up, right? And they don't. Like, they obviously did not know that that was what they were supposed to do for whatever reason. So you pointed out that that was, like, not a fundamental disconnect in terms of communication, but a fundamental disconnect in the way that they play the game. And that's actually why I wanted to bring up that whole idea of like what a support does in the LPL, because again, like the disconnect could be as much as I'm going in and that act is supposed to be the go button. And the rest of the team definitely did not know that on multiple occasions that we've pointed out on broadcast.
I think my only issue there is how does moving him down to Academy away from the set of 4 players that he's supposed to build that synergy with solve the problem, right? So that's one thing, because I'm with you, Mark. If you know, you know, and if it is just a fundamental difference, and it's time to kill this version of the roster, fine, I accept that, without really having all of the, the information from behind the scenes. Fine, I'm not going to argue that side of the equation if that's what it is for TSM. But in a world where it is again presented as requires more time to adjust, that to me is indicative that the intention is for him to return. After a period of time and after some amount of issues are solved, they want to bring him back to the roster. I don't understand how shifting him off of the roster really solves for that.
I am with you 100% on the messaging that has come out of the org thus far, not necessarily being the clearest in what they wanted to do. Because immediately after the loss on Sunday, when they were 0-4, multiple members of TSM staff kind of came out and was like, hey, Spring Split doesn't matter in the sense that, like, we're not trying to win Spring Split. We're a developing roster. We're not going to go full max Band-Aid right now. And then a couple days later, not only did they swap a player out, but a coach was let go. It's not just the Shen Yi angle. And so, it's like, well, what is the situation at your org right now? Because you seem to be contradicting your own messaging from a couple days ago.
Yeah, so we have probably still more questions than answers at this point, and we're going to have plenty of time to continue to track this TSM story throughout the day. Now, we know that this is a story and a topic that all of you at home are very interested in, so we're going to spend more time talking about developmental rosters on Waiting Room tomorrow. So we want you to send us your thoughts and questions on Twitter using the hashtag LCS. We can dig deeper into that tomorrow as we have another, 30 minutes to do so. I do want to jump ahead, though, to the other massive piece of news that's coming in. Actually, first off, let's go to this one. You're the one, love me till I'm gone, says, I have a bunch of questions, but I don't want to be called a fake tweet in the chat. I think this is probably a plight that many people who watch the Waiting Room have faced. Just so you know, these are not fake tweets.
I made that
but
tweet.
also, bummer for you, bro. You get one a split, and you used it up. So you're gonna have to wait till summer now for any of your questions. I'm just kidding.
Let's get some more real tweets on there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Account.
Send us real
Good
tweets,
job,
and we'll be sure to use them.
You can't even tweet about the broadcast. We're supposed to believe you have some
Here you go.
followers.
This was the teaser dropped by Team Liquid around the other giant piece of
Let's
news.
go!
CoreJJ is back. His green card has been secured. He will be out there playing for Team Liquid today. Where is everyone on this? Because TL right now, they were playing all right without him.
Where is anyone else supposed to be but hyped?
I know.
Isn't that the only, it's like the meter goes from like really hyped to super hyped.
Super hype.
There's another emotion. Fear. If you're the other team.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm a little scared now because you're right. They were doing quite well with Ayla on the roster. Of course, I think Ayla is already at an LCS level. But you have a world's best kind of level with CoreJJ. I think that him coming onto the team is going to be big. I still want to see what him and Hansama will look like, since the last time we saw them was in lock-ins, right? So them kind of like ironing out how they want to play the game. I'm sure they've had a few scrims with CoreJJ in the lineup, so like at least that they're not completely trashing that together. Last time we saw them together, they were just all inning 2v2 bot lane early game. That's what I want to see with CoreJJ.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like the small window we got was an incredibly aggressive bot lane in 2v2s, like to the point of almost over aggression, and it was great. I loved it. Like I definitely want to see that.
I'm just so happy to have him back. While it's been fun to track his Twitter game and the way he's been involved throughout, now that he's going to get to step onto the stage, I think both things are going to continue to get better. There was an interesting thought thrown out there though by a fan of the LCS, which was, is there any concern? I think we have the tweet. Hopefully we'll pull it up here, and I'm going to paraphrase at that. But is there any concern, essentially, that with CoreJJ returning, there might be a step down moment for Team Liquid? What happens if this first game does end in a loss? I don't think there's, personally much cause for concern, but it's an interesting question because of exactly what you said, Raz. Aphelios has been performing by far and away at LCS level as is.
I think for me, the bigger concern would not be like performance in bot lane, but performance in mid to late game team situations. Because CoreJJ has opinions and he has shot calling, and you're going to listen to him. And with Olleh, I assume it was a little bit more of a backseat, and people like Bwipo and Bjerg were having a little bit more control over the game of Santorin as well. And so there could be a time period of like integrating on stage how the communication is going to go with another voice. But that's my concern more than like, are Hans and CoreJJ going to play the lane good? Like, yeah, they're going to play lane fine.
Yeah, especially, I know they already kind of play towards bot lane, but if they're going to get leads, it's going to be like a strong voice of saying, this, let's dive now. You're going to have to respect that. And I think Bwipo, who's already been a really strong top laner and a strong weak side top laner, is going to like now kind of get into that role, whereas it was a lot more flexible beforehand. So I'm interested. I'm really interested to see. I'm not concerned at all.
Not me neither.
He is just too damn good of a player for there to be issues bot lane early in this their split.
A first-place team that only gets better with the addition of CoreJJ. So lots of hype around Tim. We'll talk about him a bit later as well. But there was one other kind of unsolved thing when it comes to his announcement, and I want to check this out. It's a video first, really creative announcement by Team Liquid. Let's take a look.
So it's just weird that there's like gummy worms and gummy bears, but like there's no other gummy animals in the animal kingdom. Oh yeah. Welcome. Hello. Thanks for being here.
So gummies in the animal kingdom. Worms, bears.
What? There's sharks? Have you never been to a boardwalk?
Gummy sharks.
If you go, there's peach rings. There's
those are not animals.
They could be.
Dude,
You need some gummy.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
go to
you started so hot with gummy sharks, and then your list was one item long.
33% more to the list that they came up with.
That's true. You
go down to a boardwalk and just go through that the list of gummies that you have.
I was informed today. Didn't realize this that there are gummy octopi. Which is news to me. I'm not a fan of gummy things to begin with.
Swedish fish?
This is what I was going to ask. Do Swedish fish count? Because then they're obviously fish.
They're gummy and fish.
I feel like that list was not
Swedish fish
researched.
is better than peach ring when it comes to.
I panicked. All right, but my point is there's others. All right.
Peaches are not animals. This is true.
That was a dumb tangent, but more than anything, I just love that moment. I was like, you know what? They got some good script writers, creative people over that Team Liquid who understand how to build a scene. Right? Something has to be happening first before somebody enters the scene. It's not just start with CoreJJ entering. Anyway, moving on. LCS tweeted this out just a couple days ago. Who is your way too early pick for Spring Split MVP? So we've only seen 2 weeks of play. Who would you vote for right now?
I could go immediately on this one.
You go first.
Yeah, go.
So it's not even listed here. In fact, it's one of his teammates. So I'd go Closer. I think Closer right now has been the best jungler, and a lot of the times you won't win, Player of the Week or something if your team loses a game. Well, you can. It's just a harder case for you. But in their losses, he was incredible. In their loss against IMT, the reason they had such a massive gold lead was based off of his Viego performance. The team fights that he had, this was literally the team fight, I'm pretty sure, was incredible. His J4 game, where, Ssumday's Tryndamere popped off. He was incredible in every team fight. I feel like every fight that we've seen so far of 100 Thieves with him incorporated is like a highlight reel.
I almost said Closer as well, but then I pivoted at the last second.
Yeah.
And I also picked someone on a team up there, but with a different teammate. I picked Hans Sama. I actually think Hans Sama has not been the flashiest player on his team, but he is like the backbone in a lot of these games. For one, they get leads in the bot lane almost all the time. He's second in CSD at 15, but that's a little messed up stat right now with Johnson, who's above him, having his 3 supports in lane like the entire time. That's not really a fair stat, where I don't think Hans has quite had that level of support. And then late game team fighting, like he is the guy in a lot of their games. It's like, you know, Bjergsen's on a support or something, and it's like, Hans, go pop off, please.
And doing it all without his intended duo. I'm gonna jump to Emily next. Before I do, I just wanna make a note to all of you in chat. Please, you know, spam us with who you think would be your pick for MVP after these 2 weeks of play. We'll check in with any results from you guys in just a moment. But Emily, who would you go? I feel like they've chosen some easy ones.
So I almost said Closer as
there
well.
we go.
So
Yeah.
all 3 of us are aligned on the fact that Closer is playing really well. But I actually did choose one of the players up here, and it's Whippo.
Okay.
And the reason why I chose him is because I think that on a team like TL, where you're looking at them to play through like really, really strong laners, through a jungler that helps facilitate a lot of these things, Whippo makes the top lane really volatile, and he forces teams to react to it, right? And it's kind of a perfect addition to this team because it allows, like, I don't know, a little bit of, you know, spiciness that you really, really have to deal with when you're looking at this team, when you're prepping for this team. This might change with the addition of Core, because I do expect that 2v2 to also be made a lot more volatile, to be like incredibly aggressive, especially if Core is on, you know, an engaged support and really trying to make like kill lanes down there. But until now, I think teams have had to really react and plan around Whippo in a way that they may not have expected.
I love the call out to his creativity, because exactly, you've seen everything from the Rengar, which is an intelligent response to innovative picks, but that Gragas game that we showed, where it wasn't pretty the whole time, but to your point, Raz, about weak side player and stuff like that, it's phenomenal to see him be able to be held down in lane, still find an impact, you know, somewhere later in the game. Here's the results, and it looks like the fans agree. Whippo is the pick.
I feel like this is the first time I've agreed. I usually do not know the will of the people. So.
Okay, I love the fact that
Berserker, though. Yeah, well, that's an interesting call out there in second place. Mark,
he's been playing
you seem
so
not
well.
you seem not sold. He's played well, but not.
I think he's a really good player. I don't want to, you know, this is going to, like, when you put someone up to argue
This
the other
just
side,
in,
it
Mark
sounds like I'm being
thinks that
biased.
Berserker is a
Berserker.
bottom
Put
tier
Hans
AD carry in the LCS.
Like, obviously, I don't agree if I put another player in his position above him in that slot.
Why would
So
you hate Berserker?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know,
what
dude,
Jeez, Mark.
He talked mad smack to me. No,
Right, what is
the
it? 'Cause
DM.
he-
He
is
just
it-
DM'd me out
do
of
you hate him
nowhere.
because he knows that a peach is not an animal?
It's a peach ring. Get on to what's the next
Doesn't
thing. Get
make
me
it
out
any
of here.
better. You want me to move
Yeah,
on?
I don't like this.
Okay, final topic of the waiting room. It comes to this. We wanted to throw out a huge congratulations to Tyler1, who has now officially hit Challenger in all 5 roles in League of Legends. Check this out.
That's it! It's done! There it is! Ah! Officially!
Amazing.
Who put the music in? This is a hyphy music. I was like, whoa, are we like Elms Deep right
He's
now?
wearing a built different tank top, which is the perfect tank top for hitting Challenger in your 5th role. We also have LeTigress hopping in with us. Do you have a message?
Yeah,
What's
I
going
just
on here?
wanted to say major congratulations to Tyler1. If anybody has not been watching his stream, you definitely should. It's a really good time. I've been cheering you on every step of the way through every Challenger experience, and now the shortest run yet for support. Props to you. Shout out to twitch.tv/Tyler1 for all the fans out there.
Hell yes, go check him out. I was thinking about this today. I was like,
Check PayPal.
How many?
Right?
How many?
I'm gonna go check that. I'm gonna go check that.
Okay, yeah, go check that PayPal. We'll catch you later. I was thinking about this today. How many people has this happened? Has anyone hit Challenger in all 5 roles? We're talking from a fresh account, not being like a fill player to Challenger. How many people, do you know of anyone that's hit Challenger in all 5 roles?
Former EU
Yeah.
pro did, said a producer in my ear.
Former EU pro did. Okay, so like, I mean, so just to
count on one
acknowledge,
hand.
right? To acknowledge the kind of feat that is, to assume 5 different positions and to work your way to challenger in all of them. I think it is something that should be celebrated and rightfully is at this moment. Also, Tyler1 is actually one of my favorite people. Meeting him at events, always, comes in for a hug, that kind of thing. He's a great guy.
I love him. I love it. Just to answer that question, it's not an actual answer. It's a bit troll. I would say Chowster, because in competitive, he was playing basically
He's played it
every
all,
role.
yeah, because he's had to play it all.
Competitive.
So that's my answer on that
Well,
one.
and High is
Big
tried his
congratulations.
best, right? High with the
True.
with the mid
Jungle
jungle
swap,
support. Yeah,
support
so
swap.
he's almost there. Anyway, that's gonna be it for the LCS waiting room. We're getting ready for today's first match. Go ahead and roll that show open.
Is TL going to be okay without Core JJ? When will Core JJ get in?
Core JJ is just more than good. He's insane.
So here's the deal. Core JJ is coming in.
This is what we wanted to see. The star bot lane that we expected to take over this league.
Reset! That's one in for Hansama. But the other second, there's Blabber going down. No ulti, nothing else to do. Explosive cast, Rocket 1. The red Team Liquid fight back valiantly. They will knock down Cloud9.
Does feel like a number of teams changed or altered their philosophies.
The TSM that most fans remember is just Bjergsen. Now that he's gone, they're kind of just like a new team.
New players, new staff. It is a new era for TSM.
Stunned up for a long time and shut down gold goes to the defending MVP of Spica. 5 kills in the Xin Zhao.
Cena as well changed over the years, and they have a new iteration where LS is leading the team. I've never seen anyone draft like that before, so I think it's gonna be really interesting.
Oh, they just jump in, deletion.
What an exciting start to the season for Cloud9.
LS always preaches about purifying the center comp, but I think we might have to pull that one out and see, which one's winning.
I just don't feel like TSM is anywhere near as dominant as they are hoping to be, and I think that we will just beat them convincingly.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the LCS. No more comfy chairs. These ones are pretty comfy.
I like these.
These ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. We got the big desk energy over here. That's what it is. Mark, always emanating big desk energy.
Yep.
Look at him. Look at his
Look
face.
at him.
So big. All right, let's take a look at our standings ahead of our 3rd week of the regular season. We got a whole bunch of teams sitting at 3-1, but nobody is undefeated. From there, you kind of trade some different records all the way down to our 0-4 teams as CLG and TSM still hunting for their first in this weekend. But on to today. Fresh off of a 2-0 week 2, Golden Guardians are going head-to-head with 100 Thieves in our first matchup of the day. TSM looks for that first one against Immortals Progressive before a big one with Core JJ making his 2022 LCS regular split debut since he technically played in lock-in. Yeah, you like all those qualifiers?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
You had to make it sound special.
Yep.
Against EG, their 3rd matchup of the day, we close it out with CLG versus Cloud9. Now, do you hear what I hear?
Oh, I think I do.
Do you, though?
No.
Okay, because it's starting to sound a lot like a rumble in the jungle when we talk about Pridestalker versus 100 Thieves. Let's dive into it. Pridestalker has been a bright spot for this Golden Guardians squad, but you already called out your early MVP pick in Closer, so that means he's got quite a bit of work cut out for him.
Yes, it's going to be tough. Closer as a player has just been insane so far this split. We've already talked about the depth of pool that he has in his Viego. We've already seen the J4. We've talked about banning his core picks, but a lot of the times he'll just go on his tertiary pick and just dominate. So not so surprising there. But then the deep pool that you see, the carry pool from Pridestalker.
I don't know about deep.
Yeah,
I played 3 champions.
I have to look at it and talk about the fact that he has a carry pool instead.
Yeah, I think both these guys, we talk about herbivores, carnivores. To me, they're both apex predators. They're 1 and 2 in kills in the league. They want to get fed. There's people who farm a lot. There's people who get kills, but they feed them to other people. They're providers. They want it for themselves. They both want to get super fed and carry the game. And so far, both of them have actually done that pretty successful in their games.
What are you, Mark? Provider? Apex predator? Herbivore? You're definitely not an herbivore. I know that much about you.
He's a breadwinner.
He's a peach ring winner, if you will.
All
right.
Engineer.
Well, they're going to want to control, or rather control closer. Golden Guardians, or rather if they want to control closer, Golden Guardians will have a lot of hard work on their hands. But last week they demonstrated that they are willing to do just what it takes, utilizing Aphelios and Graves in lane swapping that Emily's going to run us through here in a State Farm neighborhood tactics.
So one fun thing I've been trying to track is, in some of these games where they might be a little messier, they might be not necessarily executed perfectly. TSM Golden Guardians last week was one such game. The way we got here was actually through a botched level 1 by Golden Guardians opting into that, which set Pridestalker significantly far behind. TSM double crabbed him, Blabber 3-buffed him. It was looking really, really bad until TSM made a move at about 440 in the bot lane and gave him a kill and assist, which he's gonna start with right here. And he's gonna be up on the top side here. So the setup for this play is that, if we play here, what's gonna end up happening, he's invading here. The most important thing to look at on the map right now is that Graves is gonna be pushing in this lane here, and the bot lane is gonna be pushing in this lane down here. They're going to reset at approximately the same time, the Aphelios and the Graves. And what's gonna happen is that they're going to lane swap. When we talk about why you might run Smite supports top like TSM is doing in this game, a lot of the reason why is to funnel that gold into someone else. In this case, they definitely want to get it onto Tactical's Jinx, who actually almost takes over the game later. But what happens is, and the way that Golden Guardians counter this, which I think is really interesting, is they end up swapping the Aphelios top. So as we go through here, he is going to end up catching that wave topside, while they're not only going to get actually a kill onto Spica from this invade here, but the most important thing that's going to happen here is, again, when you're running Smite supports top, you want to be able to funnel all of that gold onto your Jinx. But she is here with 3 people. So even if TSM end up taking this turret, guess what? Aphelios gets all this alone time with the turret in the top, actually takes down first turret here, while TSM don't even get this turret off of this play. What ends up happening is they still do get wave control, they get some damage, but because Licorice and Olleh are here, they're actually able to stave this off while all of this gold ends up going on to Lost. And as we talk about, again, like games where a lot of mistakes are made, a lot of things happen, I actually really, really appreciated this adaptation. And I hope to see more of it as we see a bunch of teams trying out multiple different play styles.
I mean, I'll add to that, right? I mean, not only is it adaptation within the game, just from the previous time they had played against a Smite top to that time around, it's clear that they had really done the review and kind of looked and identified different ways that they could finagle their way out of some losing situations and even turn it very much into their own advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a lot of it's just thinking in the game conceptually, right? After you face it one time and you think about it the next, the fact that they were able to come to such a good conclusion that brought them back into the game. So I love that, being able to look through it, because especially in rough games for viewers, being able to find that nugget of gold is valuable for the next one.
Now, that one did end up being scrappy, without a doubt. Tactical, as you mentioned, did almost carry it for TSM, but they were able to pull it out. They're going to have to put up something big today if they want to take down 100 Thieves. I want to know from the 3 of you if you think they can do it. Raz, you're in the unfortunate position, as always, of having to go first, being on my right side. So, well, there it is.
In this camera shot is a lot of red.
A lot of red.
Like, that's basically
it was properly cropped right here above us. No, get that Guardians out of here. No, I'm kidding. So 100 Thieves across the board. Why do you have so much confidence in this 100 Thieves squad, as they've waffled a bit this?
Funnily enough, I think they're a team that actually sometimes plays down to the level of their opponents, but I think that they are addressing that. The game that they dropped to Immortals, to FlyQuest and Lock-In, to Dignitas and Lock-In, I think they know that they want to start delivering against the teams that they're expected to beat.
And for as intelligent as Golden Guardians is around some of their in-game decisions, you just don't think it's enough to overcome 100 Thieves?
No, and I also think to re-hit on the Closer versus Pridestalker match, I think Closer is playing like out of his mind right now. And that's going to be like a key point for 100 Thieves in this game.
He's like a gummy shark in the water.
Yeah, there you
right,
go.
Mark?
A gummy gorilla.
It all together.
All right, Flowers and Azael. It's time for us to hand it over to you to get us into game one. Enjoy.
Thank you so very much, Dash. Welcome back, everybody, to another weekend of the LCS. I'm CaptainFlowers, that's Azael, and behind us, we have Golden Guardians and 100 Thieves ready to go head-to-head. They were talking about the jungle, Pridestalker versus Closer, and to me, man, these are two of the most exciting guys to watch in the jungle here in the LCS.
I feel like the jungle pool in general is so stacked in the LCS this year that has been really, really fun to watch. Closer has been an absolute beast. Pridestalker has been getting a lot of respect, a lot of attention because of all his assassin jungle play. No bans towards it this time around, though. He had been actually drawing a lot of bans. You know, had Zed banned against him, has had Talon banned against him, has had Kiana. You know, all of these different ones that he has been playing. But this time around, that is going to get nixed immediately as they'll just grab Xin first.
Yep, that Xin Zhao pick, we've seen this be popular, we've seen this be meta, played by pretty much everybody under the sun. Real quick going through the bans, since Champ Select is already underway, Karma, Jarvan, Caitlyn banned out by Golden Guardians, Zeri and Gwen, those permanent red side bans remain in play, as Tom Kench is also banned out by the Thieves' first two picks, locking in Corki for mid and Jinx at 80 carry.
Scaling, scaling, scaling. 100 Thieves does feel like they're kind of going back towards this team fighting style. Where Ssumday was playing, you know, more largely on the other side of the map, playing kind of weak side up there to just be a rock and be able to get towards the later stages of the game where he can enable 100 Thieves big carries on the bottom side, FBI and Abbedagge.
Well, we've got the Aphelios locked in. They see the Jinx on the enemy team. It feels like we get this matchup between these two AD carries quite frequently. Leona's going to be the support there with him. Oftentimes, you see Aphelios like to have a defensive option with his support, Thresh being one of the most popular ones that can help make up for the fact that he has no escapes, no mobility. But Leona could just help you lock down and blow everybody up fast.
And it is really interesting because huhi is not a guy that goes to Thresh as often as some of the other supports. So I'm wondering, you know, were they kind of trying to call the bluff and say, you know, you don't want to play Thresh anyway, so we're actually going to grab the Leona, take away something that you would have gone for. But very, very curious to see that it was actually skipped over because Olleh is a big Thresh player, you know, is one of his best champions, and to see them give that away is a bit curious, but to me, I guess it just means that they want to have him be their primary engage, not really more of the follow-up, which is usually kind of how Thresh plays. Or looking for picks. Leona is that go button, and if you're not going to draft that for any of your soul lanes on the Golden Guardian side, well, it makes sense to go for Leona here.
Well, we do have ourselves a bit of a mismatch here in the first half of the draft, although both teams did pick AD carry and support. It's a jungler on the Golden Guardians side. It's a mid laner picked up on the 100 Thieves side, which means the bans are going to look a little bit different in terms of where they focus. 100 Thieves already banning out the Rise there from the mid lane. We've seen this rise in popularity. We've also got the Olleh banned out by the Golden Guardians. This is one of those champions who can just stat check Xin Zhao and just duel him straight to death. Get that one off the table. Victor banned out by 100 Thieves as well, making it double mid lane bans here in the second half.
And if they want to protect their jungle more, you know, I think a Trundle ban could make some sense here as well. It's not really a closer special, but that is one of the matchups that a lot of junglers do like into Xin. You can actually duel out very effectively against Xin, and even, you know, in the later stage to just pillar him out of fights, make it very difficult for him to play. Instead, it will be the Poppy, and Trundle's going to get locked in.
That was instant. As soon as they see the opportunity, jump on it.
I mean, this is just one of those champions that when you talk to a lot of junglers, that Kobe is always talking about this as his go-to matchup. When they see Xin, they lock Trundle, and it's just kind of an instant duo they want to be able to kind of have. It also pairs very well, I think, with both Thresh and Corki. You can set up with the pillar for hooks. You can set up for Corki rockets and poke, you know, with that pillar as well in the later stages. It can be very difficult to actually deal with You can even just start kind of dipping out of your Q and W max early and going extra points into pillar if it's going to be a team fighting game, because having that slow is going to make it very, very difficult on the other side. But pretty interesting picks, Zilean as well as the Gnar. So more Zilean coming in. We got to see one from Fudge. It's more than just Bjergsen. It's interesting because still globally, it is not that popular as a mid lane pick. And it's not that popular, period, but it is becoming very popular in North America. And sometimes this is one of those things where, you know, one person can kind of push something to the forefront, because Bjergsen is showing people how strong this pick really is in competitive play. A lot of people are going to be going to it, and Zilean's great in multiple roles in solo queue, so it makes sense that more people are putting in the time to learn the champ.
And even in the context of there doesn't seem to be an answer found here in North America to it, Bjergsen keeps bringing it out because his opponents are unable to answer. Well, that just means that, hey, Bjergsen's already done the scouting for you. He knows that other mid laners in North America in the LCS can't answer this. So, hey, even if you can't answer it, why not just play it yourself? Why not just put that pressure on the enemy teams yourself? The Gnar there in the top lane locked in for him too. This has been a staple pick in top for a long time. Just feels like one of the default go-tos. That'll be up against the Jayce of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And globally, you know, as far as the major regions, you know, if you're talking only top leagues, there's really not that many plays of the Zilean so far this year. And Bjergsen has 5 of them, so it's going to be interesting to see how it does exactly work out here for them. Yeah, mid is the only reason. Like he's the only one that has actually played. Him and Fudge are all 5 of the major region mid lane Zilean games. So Ablazeolive is going to be jumping in, adding that 6th play. Still all of them in the LCS, and it's becoming kind of this LCS special pick.
And that's fun to see. I enjoy seeing these regionalized pocket picks that end up just becoming something else you got to keep in mind when you're talking about that region specifically. Let's see if Golden Guardians can do it, man. Currently 2-2 in the standings. 100 Thieves sitting on a 3-1 coming into week 3 here. You saw the entirety of the analyst desk predicting the 100 Thieves win here on this one. They got the powerful scaling. There do seem to be more options for the engage by a significant margin on the side of the Golden Guardians. You have the ability for Licorice to go in with a big Mega Gnar. You have Pridestalker who can jump in. Olleh, you already mentioned, as the go button. And on your screen right now in the bottom left, ladies and gentlemen, a good personal friend of mine, Papa Smithy, the GM of 100 Thieves. And if you don't recognize the man beside him, allow me to introduce you to General Sniper, one of the most promising up-and-coming young talents here in the North American region. #1 on the solo queue ladder at the end of last season, I believe. Talk about climbing the damn thing. He had to go up 100 different stories and he got there. And they're here supporting 100 Thieves today.
I mean, they're becoming like one of those sports families, you know, where everyone goes pro. Like Viper's pro.
Oh yeah,
he's
man.
Gonna go pro. I know they have another brother as well that I think is also super high rated. So, really talented family as far as the League of Legends does go. Gonna be excited to see when he eventually makes his way to the LCS, as everyone I think is kind of expecting.
Well, let's see how this one's going to shake out right now, as both of our junglers have started on the bottom half of the map. That means we'll be pathing north, and we'll end up maybe seeing a fight over the Scuttle Crab, maybe not. Down here in bottom lane, again, we're going to be keeping eyes on huhi, because like you already mentioned, this was not one of the picks that you would expect him to want to play as much as something like a Leona, so that means that they're essentially daring 100 Thieves to play the Thresh at the high level.
Yeah, and I mean, he does play it, just it's not one of the ones that you think of as kind of his big picks. You know, it was his 4th or 5th most played last year. He played it 7 times, so he has some games under his belt, but it's not really his go-to, where a lot of other supports, if Thresh is open, you know they're first locking Thresh immediately. You know, they really love that pairing. Thresh Jinx as well as Thresh Aphelios kind of has been those primary pairings that people have been going for really in the LCS and across the world kind of all this year. So it was left up, and we're going to see if Olleh can kind of make good on it with that Leona.
Now, one thing I also do want to point out here, difference in summoner spells with our AD carries. They both have strong CC that they have to deal with from the enemy support, but the difference here is the fact that Lost really only has to deal with that hard CC coming out from huhi. The rest of the champions on 100 Thieves don't offer it, so he has gone with the heal as opposed to the cleanse. So a bit more direct combat power in these bot lane 2v2s there for the side of Golden Guardians.
I think it makes a lot of sense, you know, especially when you're looking forward towards team fighting. It's very difficult for the Thresh to hook past those people, past the Leona, past the Xin, past the Gnar to actually do anything about this. And Closer is going to be getting aggressive, but it looked like Pridestalker was able to grab that, so nicely done by him. securing with the smite. It does mean he has to at least force out that smite though. So Closer is going to be able to steal away the blue probably, unless he can get some assistance on this, but it's difficult because as Licorice, if you move away from that wave, that is this fat stack wave under your tower, you are guaranteed to lose so much for just the chance at being able to take that blue away.
And I love the coordination there from 100 Thieves recognizing that, saying, hey, you lose the wave or you lose the blue, one way or another, something's not coming up your way here. Licorice is about 200 HP, not looking too great. They're ready to lead the charge here. Minions are underneath the turret. Licorice decides to jump forward. He's putting the pressure onto Ssumday. The Gnar bar won't charge, and first blood over to the 100 Thieves top laner.
Nice try there, but Licorice, I mean, maybe if he gets that last auto off with the hyper proc, he could have potentially traded the kill onto Ssumday, but not quite able to do it. And Ssumday did such a good job softening him up. They were able to pull off that dive.
Oh, Olleh going in here in the bot lane. FBI pulled to safety. Oh, turn, but FBI. Oh, he's at 100 HP, but it's huhi getting the kill on Lost. And 100 Thieves turn it around, 2v3.
Ah, he flashed right in, tried to go for the big play there. Straight into the waiting arms of huhi, though. He ends up giving over a freebie. Not only does he not get the kill, it's going to mean the FBI can stay around, actually farm up this wave, and his jungler was there, so that one hurts for sure from Lost.
Those feel so bad because that was your active choice to engage in that fight. The game could have continued onward 0-0 here in this lane. Those are the ones that you're hitting yourself over later on.
Absolutely. I mean, it goes from them being up summoners and, you know, guaranteed pressure. Like, they just had to walk up to the tower with him at low health and the Xin there, knowing that Trundle is topside. And you can, at the very least, pressure FBI off the tower and take an incremental advantage with summoners down, threaten a regank. Now, instead, he flashes in, he uses his heal, he's down sums, he dies, and he's the one who's going to have to really be worried about the repeat visit here if Closer comes down to that bottom side.
Closer still hanging out around the top here. I never actually saw the recall animation on that Trundle skin before. That's pretty badass how he sprouts the wings and breathes the ice out. I really like that one. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. Speaking of flying home, we got both of our mid laners flying back into mid here. Those teleports have been used for the first time here. Ablazeolive will be the first of our solo laners to hit level 6 with Abbedagge right behind him. And this is what I judge Zilean play off of, really. It's not your bomb placement. It's not your last hitting. These things are very important. But your ability to recognize when the ult is necessary and properly manage it, not wasting it and giving your opponents the opportunity to back away.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned how, you know, Bjergsen's 4 plays, Fudge is 1. This is going to be Ablazeolive's first. That's the thing I'm going to be looking for. When these team fights break out, how does this man perform on Zilean, where your perception and your ability to predict is so important?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the most obvious thing when you're watching. I would say there's a lot of little things with Zilean, though, that, you know, when you start to play it a lot, you really can realize, you know, how they actually use the cooldown reset. You know, are you going to speed yourself up, actually, you know, use your W to catch up to someone, and then you're not going to be able to use your double bomb, but maybe you can speed yourself up to catch up, and then you W to actually slow them down so your teammate catches up. Is that better? Is it better to actually hold on to the W and just try to catch up and not use the slowdown to get a double bomb? Like, all these little things about the order of spells can actually make such a big difference in skirmishes, where it can be the difference between catching someone and getting a free kill, or maybe not at all. Because if you use the reset not for double bomb and purely just for speed up and slow down, then you get counter ganked, you can lose these fights. So there's lots of little things and lots of little tricks that really good Zilean players make it look so easy because they're constantly making the correct decision over and over and over.
Well, Closer goes after his own blue, but the Golden Guardians have him figured out. A quick 3-man invade to put GG on the board.
Nicely done. A good kill there. They're going to be able to actually take away this bottom side scuttle as well. And while there was that kill on top side, you know, it was Pridestalker who's just kind of farming it away. Is going to be feeling pretty good about his position in the game already. Yes, Lost did die earlier, but he got a kill back here, and the wave's going to be pushing towards them. So he's going to be up in gold over FBI, and they're going to be really happy about where that gold did go.
And back here in mid lane, talking about gold, and back to your previous point about the small things with Zilean, one of the minor things that I mentioned when I was talking about it's not as important as the ultis is just last hitting on this champion. He has a clunky auto attack animation. He has a big AoE as his main spammable skill. It's really easy to screw up your own last hits, but when we're looking at the farm here in mid lane, Ablazeolive 75, Abbedagge 78, that feels good.
Absolutely. You know, and he did get to see what Abbedagge was playing before he picked it, you know, so he wasn't picking it into a strong early game champion. He's playing it in Corki, and then Corki said, all right, I can't punish you, so I'm going Cull, and I'm just going to use scaling as kind of my weapon. Both of them are playing Gathering Storm, so it's not going to be, the most action-packed slugfest mid lane there. It's Gathering Storm, Tier, Cull, Corki. So, you don't have to kind of really knock Abbedagge for not creating a CS advantage in this lane, but definitely credit to Ablazeolive for clean farming, because if you don't know the damage thresholds of the bombs, especially when you're getting pushed in, it's very easy to mess up your last hitting under tower.
Right, because we know the minions are designed in a way that it's like, hey, the tower gets them down to last hittable, but if the bomb screws it up, well, all of a sudden you're going to find yourself out of luck, just like Abbedagge is here in the river. 2-2 tied up with the Golden Guardians finding another one. And, my friend, that is just the cherry on top of the cake that is the Rift Herald they'll be able to secure now, too. Olleh goes in, looking for a potential engage here in the bot lane, 2v2. Wants to get the Q, and he finds the stun. Follow-up ulti coming out from Lost, but it ain't going to lead anywhere. Ablazeolive with the flash over the wall.
He's got no mana for
Closer's
ult.
ready to follow. There's no way out. The man has no mana. Closer gets the kill.
Man, and they still haven't even killed the Rift Herald. It's been going on forever.
Done. Ssumday is now trying to stop the Golden Guardians from securing the Herald, and Closer has made his way up to the fight now as well. I said they were going to have the cake, but no, it's 100 Thieves eating dessert. Closer picks up the Herald.
Oh my God, it's crazy up on this top side. After all of that, 100 Thieves actually ends up way ahead. Up 1.5k gold as well as the Herald. That is a really big deal. It seemed like Golden Guardians just didn't respect the fact that 100 Thieves could actually potentially contest there. And as a result, just kind of haphazardly were trying to collect the wave, take the Herald, do all these things at once. And they end up getting punished big time for it. Ablazeolive just not keeping track of his mana there. A few too many spells used. He flashes over, but Closer, he had his eyes on the mana pool. When Zilean has no mana, he's not going to be able to ult himself. So ends up using the flash, does end up going down here. He's very low on mana, and does he just use Double Bomb probably on the wave? Double Bomb himself to clear the wave, and now he has no mana whatsoever. And I guess he must not have been on cooldown, or maybe just had to regen the mana, but yep, the ulti in there, the red buff, challenging smite coming through, does get the kill onto him. And he was just trying to be able to push out the wave, plus take the Herald, but obviously not respecting that Closer could have killed him off there, and now they kind of lose a lot because they lose Herald, they lose blue buff, and they have a death.
And that feels like the second unforced error of this early laning phase here in the game from Golden Guardians. The first being the overdive bottom from Lost. Now you've got this overextension here. Now up in the top side, Licorice in danger of a potential solo death here against Ssumday. Will manage to get himself away. The Gnar bar fully charges on that one, and he does get the extra HP to keep himself alive, but Golden Guardians are going to have to stop having these errors because this is costing them, my friend.
It is. I mean, that one was really close to a solo kill. Thankfully, he won't lose much because he has his TP, and Ssumday had already TP'd back. But Olleh now caught out on the bottom side, and Pax is there. You don't want this fight.
Oh, man, this fight is so bad for the Golden Guardians. 100 Thieves immediately kill the enemy jungler. That means there is no smite to contest the Drake thereafter. They already got the first one nice and early, so they're going to have a 2-0 Drake lead before 12 minutes.
Damn, it just seemed like they're not really on the same page. Licorice TV's back. He's just going to be sent right back to base, if not in a body bag.
That's not good, man. You use the teleport, you're immediately ready to go right back home again. Abbedagge going forward to Ablazeolive at 400 HP. Golden Guardians just feel like they're getting knocked around anywhere the camera goes.
They are, man. I mean, 100 Thieves now is getting so much momentum here. There it is, just setting up with the pillar for the skill shots, trying to poke him out. They're only going to be able to get the 2 plates because they hadn't really gotten any chip damage down, but they're close to the third. Up 2 kills now. They have gotten both the dragons, they've gotten the Herald, and they are, closing in on this 2,500 gold lead, looking really, really good. And when you realize it is with a lot of kind of greedy scaling setups here, things not really necessarily built for a lane, you're going to be feeling very, very good about your position, I think, in this game.
100 Thieves, man. This is that squad. I mean, obviously, they were talking a little bit on the desk about how 100 Thieves can sometimes play to the level of their opponents. They can lose some wacky games sometimes, but the level of skill on all these individual players cannot be denied.
And Golden Guardians went 2-0 last week, so they're playing to the level of an undefeated weekend.
Exactly, my friend. There you go. It's 100 Thieves stepping up, if nothing else. and currently they are feeling great about it. 13 minutes in, 1 minute left to grab any more plate money they might be able to secure. You can see that they actually have plates off of every single one of the turrets of their opponents, whereas Golden Guardians has taken a single plate this entire time. Bottom lane turret, full 5. Mid lane turret, full 5. Only 1 on that top lane turret has been removed, and all that extra money is going to stack up. It's a big part of that lead here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, Nicole cashed in, all the plate gold that they've gotten, the additional kills, all really making a big difference. And especially if they take this third dragon, there is an enormous amount of pressure then on Golden Guardians. If you allow them to get to soul point pre-17 minutes, like that is so threatening. Because the Hextech Soul is absolutely one of the strongest ones in the game. It is the strongest Rift from ahead as well. As far as kind of the mechanics of the Rift, you can make much better use of these Warp Gates offensively than you can defensively. So it becomes really, really difficult. The additional poke and damage that's going to be thrown out there with this double marksman scaling comp is really, really frightening. And I'm getting pretty worried here for Golden Guardians.
So let me ask you then, under that segue, what do you want to see from Golden Guardians here? Because we know that 100 Thieves has the scaling. Does it need to be a bunch of playmaking like it looks like we might get? Olleh immediately jumps in over the wall. He's got backup that he might be able to get away with, but Olleh is just too far forward. Golden Guardians try to force it, but it does not work out.
Yeah, it's just the defensive plays kind of answering these aggressive moves that 100 Thieves has been able to do so effectively in a lot of these situations. And I do think that there is some pressure on Golden Guardians to make aggressive plays. As far as your earlier question, what do they need to do? Yeah. I do think they need to utilize this Leona and the Xin and kind of just move around the map and try to find plays, try to find aggressive moves where you're trading out a kill. But Lost, we're going to watch him die.
Oh, Lost, there's no way out of that one, buddy. It all just comes down to who they give the kill over to, and it's FBI. The Jinx getting paid 2-0 here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 100 Thieves, making the better plays, responding incredibly well, utilizing Trundle very, very effectively as well. And now, Gnar's going to expire. You're looking like you are going down.
That's exactly what Ssumday was looking for. He jumps in when he knows that the timer is going to run out. He knows he won't be bursted down, and he knows he's getting the isolated kill.
Nicely done. I'm not sure if the ultimate was actually used for wave clear or something like that by Licorice. I didn't actually see it used in that 1v1 unless I missed it. So might get to see that, but Ssumday has been running this top lane in this game, has been looking really, really good. And Trundle's making the follow-up so difficult, because one of the nice things about Trundle actually against Zilean is when you are playing this, and my guess is he did use the ultimate, probably just, okay, he looked for scoop in, but it's mostly a wave clear ultimate, to be honest. But when you actually expend that and the hop, and you don't even connect with Ssumday for a good trade, Ssumday just reads the play really, really well. There's no way that Licorice is going to win that extended 1v1 with the hop on cooldown, with the R on cooldown. Ssumday knows the spells are missing for Licorice to be able to fight back. He gets the easy kill. Now it's bot lane tower is going to go down, but to kind of finish up that Zilean point with Trundle, you can actually just pillar out the Zilean when people dive in, and it becomes very difficult for Zilean to actually get in range of the front line to follow up with bombs as well as the ulti, because you create this kind of big zone of separation. And if Zilean tries to walk through the pillar slow into range to do it, you can kind of put yourself in a lot of danger. You're pretty heavily reliant on your move speed, the speed ups with the E, to actually dodge a lot of stuff with Zilean to stay safe. So I think they've been handling this so well, and things are looking really, really rough for Golden Guardians. You can see objective bounties already spawned. They are going to be able to collect 2 here back to back, which is really nice. Cross map play and objective trading is always going to go in the favor of the team that's behind if you're trading equally, and it's going to massively in the favor of the team that's behind if objective bounties are up.
Well, FBI will continue applying pressure to this bottom lane tier 2 turret. Closer's going to secure the 3rd Drake of the game for 100 Thieves, no contest. Golden Guardians are saying, look, we're too far behind. We can't do anything with that. Get the objective bounties instead. That Rift Herald's going to secure them 2 turrets there in the top lane. The gold lead said 4,500 just a minute ago. Now it's down to 2,500. So Golden Guardians have done a good job making use of those bounties, collecting on those turrets. They bring Ablazeolive into the bottom lane just in time to save the tier 2. But that means Abbedagge has free reign to shoot these bullets into the mid lane tier 1, take that one out instead, and bring that 100 Thieves gold back up to more than a 3,000 lead.
Yeah, they do eventually collect those additional towers. Not able to get the tier 2 bot, otherwise it would have been much closer to even. Still, Golden Guardian's going to be happy to have picked up a lot of those objective bounties, but the entire game is now going to come down very likely to this soul fight because they gave over that dragon for free. 100 Thieves are running away with it. They're massively ahead. When you look at the soul lane gold, it's 1,500 ahead top, it's 1,400 ahead mid. The marksman's a good 1K, and you don't really care that Xin is equal on gold with the Trundle. It's just not really going to be as relevant. When you're looking at the carry roles, that's what's super important in this game. And 100 Thieves are just so much stronger, and that's going to start showing itself in the additional item completions. So the big question for me is, can Golden Guardians get to 2 items prior to this next dragon? And can they keep 100 Thieves away from another additional completion there to try to have that fight at least be competitive to where if they execute well, they can maybe start to bring the game back off of, a big team fight win, take a dragon, hope you can move that into a Baron or something, because they got to get something going here.
It's such a tall task talking about can they get those items online in time, because 100 Thieves is continuing to press forward. The bottom lane tier 2 turret that was barely kept alive last time cannot survive another push from the Thieves. Olleh now caught out in a very poor position. He has to flash over the wall, but that's a very important summoner spell that will not be available for the Soul team fight now.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for them to actually find that perfect engage. Without Leona having flash, I mean, FBI has cleanse, so ultimate, a long-range ultimate is not going to do it, right? He's going to cleanse the ulti every single time.
There must be follow-up.
You have to be there to be able to flash on him, Zenith Blade him. He cleanses, the Q stun right into an ulti stun or something. And since that option is now off the table, you're pretty much looking at a TP flank, and that becomes really concerning when where's the furthest ward? Look at this area.
It's
just 100 Thieves.
It's
Guess
pretty
what?
dark out there.
This area too. Just 100 Thieves, so I guess this is your jungle right here. You get that little spot on the map.
Well,
that's about it, and that's tough.
Unfortunately, that is on the opposite end of the map from the Drake pit where this whole fight is going to go down.
There.
Abbedagge gets away. Olleh tries to land the solar flare on him, but Abbedagge is fast enough to get out of that one. 100 Thieves still with this 4,500 gold advantage. Closers coming back out onto the map with those hex gates that you mentioned. Get yourself right back in there. You're not really afraid of being anywhere because you control so much of the rift.
It's also really tough where, there's been so much talk about Hullbreaker, and Hullbreaker is a really strong item in side lane, but people like to talk about, it's over 100% gold efficient, even just with the base stats, even without the Hullbreaker passive where you're in a side lane. Yeah, but over 100% gold efficient is not a good benchmark, and they may get a pick here, which is really nice.
Nicely done. Abbedagge didn't think they would still be there after trying to catch him in that tri-brush earlier. Good patience from Golden Guardians.
That's a good pick. But the problem becomes when you go Hullbreaker and you can't win side, then it's like you're kind of forced to group, and then you actually just have a terrible item for grouping, and that's kind of the position Gnar is in, where he can't win inside. He's going to be totally squishy in 5v5. I like this. This is absolutely a Baron flip, but you are just losing this game so hard right now as Golden Guardians. So at the very least, they get the TP out. TP is going to be matched. It looks like they just want to hard commit to the Baron.
They're
I think you have to peel.
They're going for it, man. Licorice is in here. He's got his flash. He's got his Mega Gnar. He jumps over the wall. They're not going to find the ulti on anybody, so he just goes right back in instead. Golden Guardians committed the Baron. Baron down to 2K. Olleh's nearly dead. Baron is stolen by Closer, and hope dies in the Guardians' eyes. FBI gets a killing spree, and Ablazeolive is on the run. They went for the flip, and it came off tails. 100 Thieves demolish Golden Guardians in the Baron pit. Here comes Corki for one more rocket.
Oh man, they call him Closer because he ends games, and that is the end of the hope for Golden Guardians in this one. They just hard committed to the Baron. I actually liked the initial play, but I felt like they could have actually turned with Flash Mega Gnar ulti from Licorice when they had the initial 5v4. You look at the damage there from FBI, just free firing on him. Absolutely roasting him, losing the Baron there, kills. They're getting Soul in the background because they can't close on this push. But this is going to be 10K plus, and that Soul is worth thousands of gold on top. So you're really looking at like 13, 14,000 is the real gold lead at 22 minutes.
Dude, the Jinx, that is a Jinx with Kraken Slayer. She had the Runons, she had the last Whisper. Just getting to free fire in the Baron pit. I'm not sure because it's really, really close with the little numbers in the 1 space and the 10 space. But but I think FBI barely beat the entire team of Golden Guardians in terms of damage output in that fight. All 5 put together was slightly under his, I'm pretty sure, but if I'm wrong at math, that's okay, because we're not going to need to talk about the gold lead for much longer, because I feel like this game is coming to a close abruptly.
I think so too. It's going to be a tough one. We'll see if Golden Guardians can kind of just wave clear it out. Zilean does have good wave clear. Aphelios, with the right guns, has great wave clear. So there is a possibility that 100 Thieves won't want to just dive it completely. But at the very least, the game is now entirely in 100 Thieves' hands, right? It's up to them if they win or lose the game from this point. It is no longer really about Golden Guardians and their decisions in this one. It is just so hard to come back from this point. As long as 100 Thieves keep taking away the jungle, keep pushing on multiple sides, it's going to be very, very difficult. You have some really nice setup for the poke. You have Jayce and Corki now at kind of a later stage of the game where they're on 3 items, and you set up for that with the Trundle pillar. You walk forward, drop the E, massive slow, and he actually has the pillar max that I was talking about where you just put some points in W, but it's going to be a dive.
There we go. Olleh is stuck. He will have no way out of that one. Tier 2 turret is gone. 100 Thieves just pushing straight into the base here. The Baron play, honestly, I was cool with it. They knew that their opponents had insane scaling. They knew they were already incredibly behind. They couldn't win the sole team fight fair and square. They felt that was their best shot, and I respect the fact that they went for it, but it didn't go their way.
That's Shock Blast!
This game is over, my friends. This one is all done except for that Nexus Fallen. 100 Thieves, they got the minion waves coming up here. The Baron enchant just about to wear off. The wave will make its way into the turrets in time to kill off one of them. Golden Guardians now has all 5 men back on the table. This could be their last stand. Licorice has no flash, but he is ready to transform, and he does have the Mega Gnar ulti. 100 Thieves continuing that push. Zilean bombs trying to clear out some of the minions, but oh my goodness, the damage Ablazeolive. He doesn't even get the ulti proc, so now he has to go back into the fountain. 100 Thieves looks like they will back off. Yep, Corki's going to take the Hex Gate out, so they're going to reset here. Very low mana on both FBI and Closer. They don't have a whole lot to work with. Baron is gone, so it looks like we're going to get one more reset, and then this one is done.
Yeah, 100 Thieves has just played too clean of a game. Great scaling with the Jinx, with the Corki. The job on the side of Golden Guardians is so difficult to find engages into the Trundle and the Thresh. You can see it's even Mikhail's rush here for huhi, because he knows the only possible way they could actually lose is a pick on one of their carries where they instantaneously die. So you have Cleanse, now you have Mikhail's in the background, you have Stopwatch on FBI. They kind of check all the boxes here. They are just so far ahead. And Golden Guardians has really gotten nothing going, it feels like, this game. You know, ever since some of those early stages, they got a couple decent picks, but they haven't really been able to turn that into anything. And I don't think we've seen a Zilean ult actually revive someone in the entire game.
That was some of the coolest parkour I've seen on Summoner's Rift in a while. Just Hex Gate into Yeet Yourself onto the buff, into Hex Gate, into Closer. Now looks like he walked into 5 people, but he's immediately saved. Golden Guardians do not have the damage to burst down the Trundle. There's the Zilean revive you were looking for, but Ablazeolive is immediately met with more CC right after he gets up. Shock Blast takes half the health off of Lost, and Olleh. Licorice eats a chunk of damage from it too. There's one inhibitor left standing in the base, and 100 Thieves would love to pad those objective stats a little bit on this one, so why not knock it over? Minion waves being marched in from 3 directions now. 1 Nexus turret left standing. Licorice is about to just die to the damage from Abbedagge. Olleh is going to be the next target as the rockets fly out, and Pridestalker's ready to go down. Everybody from Golden Guardians is washed off the rip, and 100 Thieves get it done in 27 minutes.
It's a stomp by the 100 Thieves, man. Really good stuff from them here today. Very clean game. Across the board, they looked really good. But I've got to give a shout out to Ssumday. Him in the 1v1 against Licorice, he created such massive amounts of pressure up there, you know, finding the solo kill, but also setting up the earlier dive by getting him down so incredibly low in that 1v1. You know, when you're winning top side, there's that one mistake on bot side from Lost. 100 Thieves punished that very heavily, full control over all the objectives. They punished each and every little mistake from Golden Guardians, and their team fighting was excellent.
Ssumday running the show in the top lane, while the early unforced errors from the Golden Guardians carries in the other 2 lanes cost them dearly. Ablazeolive's death on the Zilean while running out of mana and closer stuck around in the mid lane.
Yeah.
The overdive in bottom that you were talking about that got lost killed. It felt like those mistakes were just too much against the pressure that was building for 100 Thieves, and Golden Guardians quickly found themselves in a spot where they had to make the YOLO call. They had to throw the Hail Mary. That ended up being the fight at the Baron, and it didn't go their way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to watch this Baron play one more time. And this is one, I like the call. I didn't like the execution. I didn't feel that they needed to hard commit to this. Corki's still dead. You have Flash and your Gnar's in Mega Gnar. Why do you not just go for this, hop over the wall, flash in, Mega Gnar him in, see what you can get here, right? And instead, it ends up just flashing defensively on that hook. But this is one of those situations where Zilean ult is used effectively, offensively, so much better than it is used defensively oftentimes by sending someone in, because you know exactly when they're going to need it, right? You flash him in, Zilean comes in, drops double bomb on the Gnar's head. Yes, Gnar is going to die, but that's what the Zilean's for. You're creating space with this Gnar. He's setting up and buying time, you know, for the Zhao to come in, for the Aphelios to come in, speed up by that Zilean, and to really try to create something there. But instead, they hard commit for that Baron flip. Even if they got the smite, it would have been better, but they still would have died. They still would have, you know, lost out in that 5v5, and that's why I would have liked to see them try to turn for the fight, but they just didn't seem fully comfortable and coordinating with the Zilean pick.
Well, with everything done on the Rift, it's time for us to join LeTigress and 100 Thieves Abbedagge for our Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you so much, CaptainFlowers. We have quickly made our way to the Verizon post-game interview after that 27-minute game over a 9K gold lead established for 100 Thieves. What were your thoughts going into that game compared to how it actually played out?
We practiced those kind of comps a lot, so it felt really comfortable just going into the game, and everyone knew their role really well, and we even were already winning in an early game, which just made it a lot easier to close out this game.
How much time did you spend this past week working specifically on finding everyone's idea of what their role is to have such a strong start, right? Pulling off of the 1-1 week to come through with such a strong starting performance.
It took a rough scrim week and some losses, and everyone kind of pulled themselves together, and we worked on the foundations, I think. And yeah, I'm happy that we could come back strong this weekend.
Yeah, strong performance. You just mentioned being very comfortable in these comps as well. You faced off against Zilean. We have seen that now from Fudge, obviously a Bjergsen Classic. How much more often do you think we're going to see this type of matchup?
Ooh, hopefully not too much. I think it's not too fun playing against Zilean, but the champ is definitely pretty strong right now. I think his numbers are looking pretty good. I think you have to pick it in the right situation, and I think this one wasn't too good for the enemy, which made me feel pretty comfortable, just knowing we're gonna easily win the later game. So hopefully Riot nerfs it.
We'll see about that. As far as 100 Thieves' performance today, very strong from the start to finish. I know that you all seem to be feeling pretty invigorated. When it comes to the teams within the league, what team gives you the most joy to defeat, whether you've faced against them already or not?
I don't really take joy out of defeating anyone. It's more out of being satisfied with my own performance, I think, and the team's performance. I don't care who's Smash. I'm just happy that we're more consistent and beating the teams that are supposed to be worse than us. I think everyone in the team wants to show more consistent performances and not taking losses to like the bottom tier teams. So we are all focusing heavily on that.
So with that in mind, with FlyQuest being your next opponent, how do they stack in your idea of good teams versus not great teams compared to 100 Thieves?
I think all their games have been pretty clown fiesta, and then they've been the better late game team. The other teams just didn't know what to do at 60 minutes into the game. I guess they had some good scrims, a lot of experience, but I think we are gonna focus on not having a 50-minute game. I think we just try to finish in 30 minutes or less, and we'll be comfortable.
Confident in your game plan and trying to take them down tomorrow, it seems, Abbedagge. Thank you so much for stopping by for the interview. Congrats on the dub today.
Thank you.
We do have our players getting all set up for the next match to come. We're kicking into a break, but on the other side, the desk is getting you ready for TSM and Immortals. Catch you there.
To jump forward, he's putting the pressure on to Ssumday. The Gnar bar won't charge, and first blood over to the 100 Thieves top laner. Golden Guardians committed the Baron. Baron down to 2K. Olleh's nearly dead. Baron is stolen by Closer, and hope dies in the Guardians' eyes. FBI gets a killing spree, and Ablazeolive is on the run. They went for the flip, and it came off tails. 100 Thieves demolish Golden Guardians in the Baron pit. Here comes Corki for one more rocket.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great. The subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.